What if I told you the most powerful empire on Earth doesn't belong to a government, a king, or even a president, but to a company you've probably never even heard of? You won't believe this, it controls over $10 trillion, more than the GDP of Japan and Germany combined. And yet, it doesn't have an army, it doesn't run elections, and it doesn't need your vote. The truth revealed is shocking. This company, BlackRock, silently shapes your daily life. From the phone in your pocket, to the food in your fridge, to the job you're working right now. No one saw it coming, but BlackRock has become the invisible empire that owns almost everything. Think about it. In a world where nations rise and fall, what really happens when money itself is concentrated in the hands of one hidden giant? This isn't just another Wall Street story. This changed everything about how global power works. And what no one tells you is that its rise almost didn't work until one decision flipped the game. Now, before we dive deeper, I've created an exclusive guide with 10 hidden lessons from the world's most powerful empires, including BlackRock, that you can apply to your own business, career, and financial decisions. The link is in the description. Get it now, and you'll see the secret behind every shocking story we uncover here. Because here's the hidden lesson: power today isn't about borders or politics. It's about who controls the flow of money. And BlackRock, it's not just managing money, it's managing the future. So buckle up, because once you see what really happened, you'll never look at companies, banks, or even your own savings the same way again. Let's pull back the curtain on the company that secretly owns everything. Topic 1. The shocking scale of BlackRock. BlackRock isn't just another Wall Street firm. You won't believe this, the company manages over $10 trillion in assets. To put that in perspective, if BlackRock were a country, it would have one of the largest economies in the world, bigger than Japan, bigger than Germany, even bigger than the entire GDP of most continents. No one saw it coming, but a firm that started just decades ago now towers over nations. Think about the weight of that number for a second. 10 trillion isn't just money, it's power, influence, and leverage over the global economy. The truth revealed here is that every retirement fund, every corporate pension, every national reserve BlackRock touches becomes part of its silent empire. And what really happened is that people let them in without noticing, because they promised security. Now, compare this scale with something more familiar. The US government spends about $6 trillion a year. BlackRock manages almost double that. Imagine a single company having more financial control than the largest government budget in the world. This changed everything about who truly calls the shots in global finance. And yet, if you stopped someone on the street today, they'd barely know the name. Here's the shocking story: BlackRock's power isn't loud. There are no parades, no flags, no political campaigns. Instead, it's hidden inside silent transactions and invisible portfolios. What no one tells you is that when you buy into a simple index fund or a retirement plan, chances are you're feeding BlackRock's machine. It could have ended here with quiet dominance, but the company didn't stop. And here's the hidden lesson: power doesn't always come with a spotlight. Sometimes the most dangerous influence is the one you don't see. That's why I included in the exclusive guide a breakdown of how empires, financial or political, grow quietly before the world realizes. It's one of those lessons you can apply directly to business and even personal decisions. Influence is built silently, and by the time people notice, it's already too late. So as we peel back the layers, remember this: BlackRock isn't just massive, it's unprecedented. No single company in history has controlled this much money, this much trust, and this much influence all at once. And yet, it all started with a group of people in a small office back in the 1980s. Topic 2. The humble beginning sits hard to imagine now, but back in 1988, BlackRock was just an idea scribbled on paper by a man named Larry Fink and 7 partners. No skyscrapers, no $10 trillion empire, just a vision to build something Wall Street desperately needed: risk management. You won't believe this, but at the time, Larry was still licking his wounds from a humiliating career failure that almost destroyed him. The truth revealed is that Larry Fink had once been a rising star at First Boston, a major investment bank. But one bad call on interest rates cost the firm $100 million and shattered his reputation. No one saw it coming. One of Wall Street's golden boys reduced to ashes almost overnight. This could have ended here. Yet instead, it became the fire that forged the idea of BlackRock. When Larry and his team launched the company, their mission wasn't to gamble like other Wall Street traders. What really happened was different. They promised to protect clients from risk, not expose them to it. They built the firm on one principle: control the downside, and the upside will take care of itself. At the time, this idea sounded almost boring compared to the flashy traders chasing quick wins, but starting wasn't easy. Skepticism was everywhere. In the late 1980s, the financial system was shaky, scarred by crashes and scandals. Investors didn't trust easily, and who were these unknown guys claiming they had the secret weapon to avoid risk? It almost didn't work. Convincing clients meant fighting tooth and nail for credibility in a world that only respected results. Here's the hidden lesson: sometimes failure is the foundation of the greatest comebacks. Larry Fink's $100 million mistake taught him what no textbook could: that survival depends on preparation. That's why inside the exclusive guide I mentioned earlier, there's an entire section dedicated to turning personal failure into leverage, because whether in business or in life, learning from mistakes is the first step to building something unstoppable. So from a small office, armed with nothing but experience, resilience, and a clear mission, Larry and his team began laying the foundation of what would become the most powerful financial empire in the world. And as you'll see next, it wasn't long before their hidden weapon changed everything. Topic 3. The rise of BlackRock's power. What really happened next was nothing short of revolutionary. While Wall Street traders were still relying on gut feelings and risky baits, BlackRock introduced something no one else had: a risk management system called Aladdin. You won't believe this. It wasn't just software, it was a crystal ball for money. It could simulate market crashes, forecast scenarios, and tell investors what might sink their portfolios before disaster struck. The truth revealed is that this system gave BlackRock an edge no competitor could match. Instead of promises, they had data. Instead of speculation, they had algorithms. No one saw it coming, but suddenly institutions that once ignored Larry Fink's tiny firm were lining up, desperate to buy into this new way of managing money. This changed everything. Crises became opportunities. When markets shook, BlackRock stood steady. Clients saw that their money survived storms that wiped out others. The hidden lesson here is simple but powerful: trust is built when you deliver. Under pressure, that's what Aladdin did. It turned fear into confidence. It almost didn't work at first, but each test the system passed made BlackRock's credibility skyrocket. And here's the shocking story: banks, governments, and Fortune 500 giants began to depend on this one company. What no one tells you is that every time BlackRock saved a client from financial ruin, it wasn't just about money. It was about planting a seed of loyalty. Those seeds grew into a forest of partnerships that still stand today. To connect this to your own world, think about how you entrust in your career or business. It's never the easy days that define you. It's how you show up during chaos. That's why inside the exclusive guide linked below, I broke down practical strategies from these empires on how to turn crisis into credibility. Because just like BlackRock, you can transform your mistakes and doubts into leverage that others can't ignore. By the mid-1990s, BlackRock was no longer a small player. It was a rising power, armed with data, discipline, and something even Wall Street couldn't outbid: unshakable trust. And soon, the entire world would find out just how much that trust was worth. Topic 4. BlackRock during global crisis. 2008 financial crisis was chaos. Banks collapsed, markets froze, and entire nations feared the system was about to break. You won't believe this. While governments scrambled, One name kept coming up behind closed doors: BlackRock. No one saw it coming, but this one's quiet firm became the doctor called to resuscitate the global economy. The truth revealed is that the US government, the Federal Reserve, and even foreign central banks leaned on BlackRock's Aladdin system to untangle the mess. Imagine that, in the middle of the worst financial disaster since the Great Depression, politicians and regulators handed the keys to a private company. What really happened was that trust earned in smaller storms now turned into absolute authority. BlackRock wasn't just managing money anymore, it was managing crises. They helped stabilize failing institutions, structured bailout programs, and advised governments on how to stop the bleeding. This changed everything. When the world saw that BlackRock could step in where governments faltered, their reputation shifted from a smart firm to an indispensable lifeline. And here's the shocking story. By stepping up, BlackRock gained something no amount of money could buy: influence. They weren't just a player in the system, they were shaping the system itself. What no one tells you is that moments of collapse create new kings. While others crumbled, BlackRock built a throne. The hidden lesson? In life and business, the moments that almost destroy you can also define you. That's why in the exclusive guide linked below, there's a section on how to seize opportunity in crisis, strategies drawn from empires like BlackRock that turn chaos into a springboard. Because if you learn from this mistake of waiting for perfect conditions, you'll realize the best time to act is often when the world looks broken. From 2008 onward, BlackRock wasn't just another asset manager. It became the shadow architect of stability. Every crash, every downturn, every global shock that followed only deepened the reliance on them. And as we'll see, that invisible hand soon reached into every corner of the global market. Topic 5. The invisible hand in global market swit. If I told you the phone in your hand, the car you drive, even the coffee brand in your kitchen, all trace back to the same invisible owner? You won't believe this. BlackRock holds significant stakes in Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Tesla, Coca-Cola, and hundreds more. No one saw it coming, but the world's favorite brands are stitched together by one quiet shareholder. The truth revealed is that this power didn't come from loud takeovers. It came through something deceptively simple: ETFs and index funds. Millions of everyday people investing for retirement unknowingly pulled their money into BlackRock's basket. What really happened is that with every paycheck contribution, every safe investment choice, BlackRock's grip tightened across industries. Think about it. They don't need to own 100% of a company. With just 5 to 7% of shares in hundreds of giants, BlackRock wields influence without running the day-to-day. This changed everything. Suddenly, the same hand could vote on corporate boards, guide policies, and quietly shape the future of technology, energy, and even food. Here's the shocking story most people have no idea. What no one tells you is that while you're worrying about your personal budget, the companies behind your lifestyle are tied together by one silent force. It could have ended here as just another investor, but BlackRock's scale turned it into the invisible referee of global capitalism. And here's the hidden lesson: sometimes the biggest influences in your life are the ones you never notice. That's why inside the exclusive guide I created, there's a chapter on recognizing unseen power structures and how you can spot them in business, politics, and even your career. Once you see them, you can play the game differently instead of being played by a dot. So next time you scroll on your iPhone, stream on Netflix, or gas up your car, remember this: BlackRock is there, quietly in the background, pulling strings you'll never see. And as the critics soon began to realize, this invisible hand wasn't just stabilizing the system, it was starting to control it. Topic 6. The critics and controversies with power. This massive controversy was inevitable. You won't believe this. Critics argue BlackRock isn't just a financial firm, it's a shadow government. No one saw it coming, but the same company trusted to stabilize markets is accused of quietly steering them for its own benefit. The truth revealed is that concentration of wealth this extreme raises one dangerous question: who's really in charge? accusations began to pile up. Politicians and watchdogs pointed out that BlackRock's ownership stakes give it influence over thousands of companies at once, from big tech to big oil. What really happened, some say, is that their votes on corporate boards push agendas the public never approved. This changed everything, because the debate was no longer about money. It was about democracy. Environmental activists, too, called BlackRock out. They demanded the firm stop funding fossil fuels, accusing it of greenwashing, saying one thing publicly while quietly profiting from the industries destroying the planet. The shocking story here is that BlackRock can't please everyone. When it funds renewables, oil giants attack. When it funds oil, climate groups revolt, and then came the whispers of hidden lobbying. What no one tells you is that BlackRock doesn't need flashy campaigns. Its influence works in hushed meetings, with regulators and private dinners with politicians. It could have ended here as just rumor, but investigations hinted at a reality where BlackRock's voice carries more weight than millions of voters combined. Here's the hidden lesson: the higher you rise, the more every move is scrutinized. That's why inside the exclusive guide I mentioned, there's a section on how great empires handle criticism without collapsing. Whether you're running a company or just your own life, you'll face resistance the moment your influence grows, and how you respond determines if you last. So the debate rages on. Is BlackRock a stabilizer, a force keeping markets from imploding, or is it a puppet master, pulling strings for profit? As we look to the future, one thing is clear: this story is far from over. Topic 7. The future of BlackRock. Story of BlackRock isn't just about what it built, it's about where it's going next. You won't believe this. The company is now pouring billions into climate-focused investments, betting that the future of money will be green. No one saw it coming, but the same empire accused of fueling oil is now branding itself as a savior of the planet. The truth revealed is that BlackRock knows where money flows, and it's following the tide, but climate is just one frontier. What really happened behind the scenes is even bigger. BlackRock is expanding into AI-driven finance, using algorithms not just to predict markets, but to potentially reshape them. Imagine a world where artificial intelligence decides how trillions move faster than any human can react. This changed everything, because now the stakes aren't just about power, they're about speed. And then comes digital assets. Cryptocurrencies, once seen as rebels against Wall Street, are now being absorbed into BlackRock's orbit. Their Bitcoin ETF approval shocked critics who swore the firm would never embrace crypto. The shocking story here is that BlackRock doesn't fight revolutions, it absorbs them. Every new frontier of finance eventually bends to its weight. The looming question is chilling: how much power is too much? What no one tells you is that empires rarely collapse from outside threats. They implode when their own size becomes uncontrollable. It could have ended here with dominance, but BlackRock now risks becoming so massive it may outgrow even the system it helped stabilize. And here's the hidden lesson: the future belongs to those who adapt faster than the world changes. That's why in the exclusive guide I created, there's a section on future-proofing your decisions, how to read shifts before they hit, just like BlackRock does. Because whether you're an investor, an entrepreneur, or just managing your own career, anticipating tomorrow is your greatest advantage. So as we stand today, BlackRock isn't just a company, it's a blueprint of the future. Climate, AI, digital assets, each step cements its grip on the next era of money. And the final question we must face is simple but terrifying. If one firm controls the future of finance, does it also control the future of us all? Topic 8. Closing message from a small office in 1988 to a global empire managing over $10 trillion. BlackRock's rise is one of the most shocking stories in modern history. You won't believe this. What started as Larry Fink's attempt to recover from failure became the most powerful financial force on Earth. No one saw it coming, but today, governments, corporations, and even ordinary people are tied to its invisible hand. The truth revealed throughout this journey is that power no longer looks like armies or kings. It looks like balance sheets, algorithms, and who controls the flow of money. What really happened was a quiet shift from governments being in charge to companies like BlackRock writing the rules of the game. This changed everything about the way influence works in the modern world. And yet, behind all the complexity, there's a hidden lesson that applies to you and me. Control isn't always about size. It's about timing, resilience, and spotting the opportunities others miss. BlackRock almost didn't work in its early days, but it turned crisis into credibility. That's something anyone can learn from, whether you're building a business, a career, or your own financial future. But what no one tells you is that hidden empires aren't rare. They exist in history, in politics, in business, shaping the world quietly until suddenly they're everywhere. It could have ended here as just a story about finance, but it's also a mirror for how influence, trust, and strategy create unstoppable momentum. That's why I put together an exclusive guide with 10 hidden lessons from the world's most powerful empires, including BlackRock, to help you apply these principles in your own life. Don't just watch history unfold. Take the strategies and make them work for you. The link is in the description, and it's waiting for you. So now I'll leave you with this question. If one company can rise from nothing to control almost everything, what's stopping you from building your own empire? Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's keep uncovering the truths no one else dares to tell. So here's the truth revealed. BlackRock's story isn't just about finance. It's about power, resilience, and the hidden forces that quietly shape our lives. What really happened over these decades shows us that the future belongs to those who understand money and know how to move when others freeze. But let me ask you this: if one company can rise from the ashes of failure to control over $10 trillion, what could you build if you started applying the same hidden lessons? What empire could you create if you stopped waiting for perfect conditions and started moving through the chaos? That's exactly why I put together the exclusive guide with 10 lessons from the world's most powerful empires, including BlackRock. These are strategies you won't find in textbooks, but you can use them today in your business, career, or financial life. The link is in the description. Don't just watch history, use it, because here's the secret behind it. The game of power doesn't wait. It rewards those who take the next step, who learn from others' mistakes instead of repeating them. And if you've watched until now, you're already ahead of 99% of people who will never know these truths. So go grab your copy of the guide, apply the lessons, and start building your own version of success. And while you're here, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and join me as we keep uncovering the shocking stories, the hidden lessons, and the secrets no one else dares to reveal. The future isn't just managed by giants like BlackRock, it's written by those who dare to see the game differently. The question is, are you ready to play?